This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. The following program is rated PG-13 and contains language and material that may be offensive to some audiences. Joining us today in the studio, we have photographer, we have artist, we have musician, we have man about town, Ted Bullens. Ted, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Harry. To me, it's a pleasure to be with you because you're the big legend in town. You're the
small town,
wonderful musician, and you're always about. And it's funny because you can be up here playing and still talk with the audience and communicate while you're in the middle of a song and everything. And to me, that's, oh my gosh, that you're a musician at a different level.
All it is reps. I've done it enough times.
Yeah.
That's nothing real special about it. I've just done it enough that I'm comfortable with it. That's all.
But your enthusiasm and your happiness shows right through.
Thank you.
Especially, like I was saying earlier, the whole elementary school thing.
My favorite time of year.
I like watching the videos. It's like this. And I think I hit like on everyone.
Oh, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so it's funny how we almost crossed paths early on. When I first moved to town, I was actually living with my brother and sister-in-law before I could take possession of my house. So I bought a house. I flew down, looked at this house. It was during COVID. Got a house for $38,000 at Tanglewood.
Yep.
So now they're worth 3 times more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At least. And so my brother and sister-in-law go to the Bible Fellowship.
Yes.
And I'm like, dang. So I go with them, and it's like, man, this is a great band. I would love to get up there and try to keep up. I don't have the skill set, but it'd be fun to do.
How long ago was that?
2021.
Okay.
Go back to going to the Bible Fellowship Church and seeing you guys play. I'm like, man, I would like to do that.
Uh-huh.
And so then I reached out and contacted. It wasn't you that was.
It would have been Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he said, we're full. We got everybody we need, but thank you for anyway. And I thought,
Sure.
okay, no problem. So I had put it on hold for a little bit, but then I had to go back. I had to go back to Indiana and finish the divorce and figure out where I was going, and packing up all my stuff because I placed the bid on the house they had accepted. I'm still in the middle of the divorce and trying to clean up all that, and you got the whole 90 days for anything can even happen, so I'm in the middle of that. So I come back to here. Well, in the meantime, my brother's playing pickleball with a woman that is with the Methodist Church.
Yes.
Danielle, I forget how I pronounce her last name, Danielle. And he goes, hey, I know you were at church. My brother's wanting to play in a church. Do you guys need any musicians? She goes, not that I'm aware of. The very next day at church, they had a staff meeting, and they're saying, hey, we're going to start up a contemporary band again. Mm-hmm. Do anybody know any guitar players? Because the band had all folded up during COVID.
Yes.
And they had a coffee house.
That's right.
Church band going, and they had the traditional.
That's right.
So that's how I started. And so some of the Mona and Mark Richardson.
Right. Sure.
She tried leading in the beginning at first, and Nancy joined in on one of the jam sessions. I came here. It's funny. I brought my guitar. I went over to the church and met with the pastor, the assistant pastor. The regular pastor was busy closing on a house. So he wasn't going to be there. So he said, so he gives me a tour, and he goes, hey, you mind going to the food bank with me? We got to pick some stuff up for the food distributions. Okay. So we go over and pick up all the stuff, whole pickup truckload, go load it in the freezers. And then I said, well, do you need me to audition or anything? He goes, nah, you'll be fine. Show up at Sheila's tomorrow night at 5:30. They're performing.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. Will they have any sheet music? Yeah, I'll tell them to bring some sheet music. Okay. So I show up, not knowing anybody at this point in time.
Sure.
Mark and Mona. There was a woman, I don't remember what her name was. She was a widowed. Her name, it was funny. Early on, she told me, it ain't going to work with me and you. And I'm like, I didn't even say anything. And she goes, my widowed husband his name was Ted.
Oh.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was fine. And then there was a young man. I don't remember him at all. I don't remember his name or anything. He came and he were playing. And then Nancy shows up late
Yeah.
and brings a pair of cajones. And she sits on the cajones and sings.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, she sends me a message. Hey, would you like to be in my band? And I'm like, okay. So then at the next rehearsal for the church band, I tell that to Mona, and she goes, oh, no, you can't be in that band. You're in my band. I said, I think they're going to rehearse on Tuesday nights. Well, you could. So, Mona being Mona.
Oh, sure.
So I'm like, okay. So I joined with Nancy, and then there was a guy, David Bruce,
Yep.
and Mark Macbeth.
Yep.
And there was a drummer. I forget who the drummer. He lived in like Adelaide Shores.
Mm-hmm.
And then Toby Pelham and I was our very first time showing up together. And we met at that point. We went and rehearsed with them. And we tried that. It had some issues and it kind of fell apart.
Sure.
David backed out of it. But Mark stayed in, Toby stayed in, and then Tanner joined as a drummer because that drummer had quit. He didn't want to drum anymore or something. So we kind of fell into place, and we became Crimson Cure.
How about that?
And it was fun. So then the church, I'm doing the church gig too on Sunday mornings. And so to me, it's fun. It's I don't know. It's just a fun thing to do.
Sure.
And here, to me, you're my legend.
Oh, come on.
Because, you're the hometown hero as far as musician. Everybody loves you. And it's funny, you go to your shows, well, you're saying, nah.
Yeah.
Come on, all you got to do is look at an outsider's view of your videos just at the elementary school.
Well,
To me, that is so fun. You see them kids just bouncing around. The teachers are singing, some of them dress up in costume.
oh, yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Then what, you get to every one of the schools?
Everyone. I just finished up year 30.
Year 30.
Year 30.
Oh my gosh. Gosh. And then you had the biggest band going. What, California Toad?
Yeah, we're still hanging in there.
Okay.
We're still playing.
You've had some change ups.
Oh,
You
yes.
kind of had some hiccups and
Yep, as bands do.
yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because at Tanglewood, none of these people are lifers from Sebring.
Right.
Tanglewood, the 55 plus is usually outsiders come here.
Mm-hmm.
You see them T-shirts there.
Yeah.
You see your T-shirts
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, let's go." So to me, and then to see you play on the Circle, and then to see you, what was it, the Dive-In?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the diving girl.
Well,
yeah.
then even last night, you've done what, just 2 hours worth of Beatles songs.
I have, yeah. I've done 3 max of Beatles, yeah. Yeah, I love the Beatles. I can play Beatles all day. Yeah.
Was that something that you played along with as a kid, and that's what got you going? What got you going?
My cousin Brian, we would go to New York to visit my aunt,
Okay.
Auntie Pat and Uncle Barney, and
New York City?
No, Pleasantville.
Okay.
Well, they're in Cornwall on the Hudson. My family's from Pleasantville,
Okay.
and you got to cross the Bear Mountain Bridge and go down into Orange County. Anyway, we always would go visit Auntie Pat.
Okay.
And Auntie Pat had Pixie and Vince and Brian. Brian was closest to my age, but he was still 6 years older than me.
Okay.
And I just wanted Brian to like me, and he couldn't stand me. And he loved the Beatles. And there was this piano with the Beatles book.
Okay.
And so I just dove into the Beatles to try to get Brian to like me. And
It's funny what we do that takes us down.
well,
certain roads,
he was like a big brother kind of thing, but he just didn't want any.
You thought he was cool as
I
heck.
really did. He really was cool, and that's why I started to like the Beatles. And once I found out about them, then what's not to love?
Their work is so great. I mean, from the beginning, yes,
Right.
to Norwegian Wood and all these other songs that made you think.
Absolutely.
And they were revolutionary.
100%. A few years ago, when I was doing more traveling, I brought my CD collection along, and I listened to them all chronologically. Wow. So you could really hear the changes.
See their arc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Yes. So the Beatles, have you seen any of their live concerts?
I've seen Paul McCartney several times, and I've seen Ringo 3 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I got to never together, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah.
I got a buddy of mine. I started out as a draftsman in an electric company, which became Duke Energy.
Oh,
Eventually became
yes.
Duke. So I started, this was 78, and the guy that sat next to me as a draftsman, he was probably 6, 8 years older than me, and he had went and seen him when the Beatles had came to Indianapolis in like 60, 63, 64, whatever the number is. I may get the number wrong.
Yes.
But here's what's so good about the story. He was this wild artist, and he had taken some acid before he went to the show. And he said he was in the back area, because the seating and all that.
Sure.
And the girls screamed the whole time, and they were arms were out, waving, trying to get the guy's attention. He called it the Screaming Pink Tentacle Concert because that's all you couldn't hear the Beatles. You couldn't hear the Beatles, and all you could hear was these girls screaming, and they were standing the whole time waving.
Yep.
While he was on that
Screaming Pink Tentacle Concert. That's awesome.
And you're thinking, what? You just missed that whole experience. You just missed that.
Can you imagine?
But at that time, it was just another concert, right?
Sure.
Nobody had known what they were going to be.
That's right. How could you? Yeah.
Yeah, or you would have bought stock.
Yeah, exactly.
And bought all the cool little memorabilia as soon as it came out.
Yeah. And put it away and locked it up and not touched it.
Well, and then to me, like Paul McCartney is still going strong. I mean, Ringo is too. Ringo's, I think they just recently come out with something.
Yep.
But it's like, oh my gosh, how that guy was, especially Paul, the gift in him and John and George.
Yes.
Of the songs, just to me, that's just amazing.
It's miraculous.
Yes.
Yeah, they come along once in a lifetime.
To hit where they did. So that's fun. Yeah, so it's fun.
This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit and say I think this is one of the coolest communities as far as music goes.
I've lived here my whole life. The era that we are in right now is unmatched.
Okay.
Now, a year ago...
Came at the right time then.
You did. A year ago, I would have said we haven't seen this much live music since the 70s. Wow. Now, in the 70s, Sebring was a hotbed of music.
Okay.
And we had the Candlelight, which is now Island View Restaurant. Used to be the Candlelight. We had the Trax Lounge. We had PJ's. We had Allen's. We had the Rendezvous. We had just place after place after place and tons of bands.
Okay.
And duos and soloists. Tons. That was the golden age of music in Sebring.
Okay.
Now, what we have now has already surpassed that as far as the number of bands, sheer number.
Wow. Okay.
And the talent is really, Sebring is second to none right now in its talent.
I think it's great, and I see how some of them will switch up and play with different, So Ransom becomes this, and Calico, there's these members mixing and matching.
It's cool.
I think it's fun. I think it's so fun, and it's not like they're in competition for each other. They're just playing.
There's plenty out there for everybody, and I think that people are sensing it.
Okay.
And it frees them up to do that very thing, which makes the creativity blossom.
Right. Now, the only thing that I didn't notice it until I went to an art festival in Lake Placid at some nursery. I forget what the name of the nursery is. It's a little bit outside of town. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful nursery. They do a lot of patios and stuff like that. And they had a little jazz band there playing. And they were doing Steely Dan.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, so I asked him, I said, man, I've never heard from you guys. What's the deal? Well, there's not much demand for us here. Uh-huh. So we have to play over on the coast a lot. So I thought, so that just reminded me, it didn't remind me, but just realized it's kind of a niche of what we're hearing. I mean, there's really like a lot of classical music thing going on. But classic rock, but that's okay. Sure. And there's a little bit of country influence, but there's not, you don't hear much bluegrass, you don't hear much jazz or anything like that, but that's okay. There's a little bit of Celtic going on.
Oh, there is.
From the Wet Dogs angle.
That's right.
So, and it's fun. And I think that's a great, I would like to see this community have more open jams. They had the open mic night. I think that's different than open jams.
Totally different.
Where 20 people are all playing at the same time.
Yes, that's right.
In Newcastle, where I came from, on Monday nights in the city park, they would all go to this one shelter, and from 6 to 9 o'clock, from May time frame to October, the warm enough months that you can play outside and your fingers won't freeze. There would be from anywhere from 6 to 15 to 20 musicians, and probably 40 to 80 people sitting there listening. And they would start bringing food, and and they would bring pitch-ins. And I remember one time up there playing, this woman comes up and she got clogs on. And she starts clogging.
How about that?
You're
That's
just like,
cool.
Okay, I've never seen this. I'll just keep on playing. I'm trying to keep up with the guys. But musicians from other states would come and play.
Yeah.
And some of them were just phenomenal. This one guy, forget his name, he was 91 years old. There was 2 guys in their 90s that would play. Both of them were fiddle players. But one of them, he had been a house musician at the Paramount Music Palace, which was in Anderson, Indiana. And his claim to fame was Jerry Lee Lewis came through, and Jerry wouldn't bring his own band.
Correct.
He would ask that they provide a house band.
Yes.
And so this guy was part of the house band. And I said, how was it? And he said, nobody looked at us.
Oh, yeah.
The eyes were only on Jerry.
Can you imagine? That's how all those cats did back then. Chuck Berry, they all did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It saved on cost.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That way they could pocket 3, 4.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Can you imagine how it must have been to play with one of those guys, though? Jerry Lee Lewis. I mean, who can say they played with Jerry Lee Lewis?
He did.
That's amazing.
And it's funny. He had 11 CDs. This guy had 11 CDs out. He's 91 years old, and we're all playing in this outdoor picnic shelter for the bluegrass. And he says, he plays it, and he goes, well, I apologize. My fingers just isn't. And I'm thinking, you're 90. You don't need to apologize for nothing. We're just happy you're here, man.
Absolutely.
It was just fun. So I'd like to see, personally, I would like to see, because I'm not a great musician, and I'm more of a rhythm. I like I'm more of a joiner.
Sure.
And I would love to see the community pull some kind of thing together. I've seen where a couple times they've tried to do it in somebody's pole barn or something. But I think when it's in a private space, some people are probably shy about attending. Where if you could get a public space and everybody could just come and jam, that would be fun. So
it would be fun.
I'm pushing Islands County. Come on, we can do this. We can do this.
Absolutely. That's cool.
So what do you want to talk about, Chief?
Oh, man, we're just chatting.
Okay.
We're just chatting. Something I really enjoy is I mentioned that you are a man about town.
Yes.
And I love it how you're always out with your camera and you're always getting shots.
It's wonderful. I get my energy from other people. When I first moved here, I'd made a list of volunteer opportunities. Because I'd retired, I moved into a gated community, and I didn't want to live the gated community lifestyle.
Sure.
I think gated community lifestyles are nice, especially if you're a couple. But if you're not a couple, it's kind of awkward a little bit, And I don't own a golf cart, so I had to get out. So I started volunteering for a bunch of different things, and so I started out with the Highlands Theater. I did a little bit at the animal shelter, but I realized that's a dangerous thing because you can end up bringing too many animals home.
Oh, yeah.
You feel sorry for them. You think, oh, that's so cute. Yeah. So I have one cat, and I stopped. I didn't want to do dogs because I'm out and about too much. I didn't want to have to come back and let him out, in and out. Yeah. So the cat's probably happy that I'm gone half the time. But then I joined with the bands. I got the church band, and then I got with the outreach band, the Crimson Cure band, but then I started with the Alan J. Wildstein. And so I drive the golf cart, a 15-passenger golf cart.
Oh, cool.
And it's so fun. And the cool thing about that job that volunteer gig is you get to go watch the shows.
Yeah, that's right.
And then so, at the last, I got to guard the one door so that people don't leave too quick by the door by the stage so the light doesn't bother the performers. That was fun. And then I got involved in the hospital, volunteering at the hospital. And at first I thought, well, this will be fun. You might run into a nice, cute nurse or a doctor or something, I realized them girls are so busy. Them women are so busy because they're doctors and nurses and they're keeping people alive.
Yep.
So as I started seeing the regulars, the people coming for rehab, the people continually coming for certain tests. And then I started seeing people that I knew that were either there or visiting somebody. So I got into that. That's a real cool job or a fun volunteer thing. And now I also volunteer for the art department at the college.
Holy
So I
moly.
can pick up art techniques because I love
Yeah,
art,
sure.
but I don't know all the different, I call them genres,
Yeah.
the watercolor, the
Yeah.
oils and all that. So I thought, well, just go do that.
Yeah.
So I clean brushes for Carla and I do whatever, and it's fun. And it's nice seeing these kids that are 18, 19, 20 doing really cool art.
Absolutely.
So that's fun. So then as I'm going along, I just take pictures all the time. And so
Yeah.
I got pictures of the theater, I got this. So here's what I'm currently working on. I've narrowed it down. I probably got 200 plus pictures of people in the community just working, just doing things, working. The security guards, the Megan of Nutmegs, Tiffany, Faded, Marie. I got. I don't have D of D's place, but I had the Ranchero. I had the one who used to be at the Ranchero. Yep. I got a guitar player at Merlot's. Yep. And then I got like the Roscoe's Garage.
Sure.
So I got these kind of pictures. And so Carla said, hey, because she follows me on Facebook, as well, we'd like to do a display of 10 of your pictures.
Fantastic.
And put them on the second story of the office area of the Wildstein Center. Yep. So you need to pick out 10. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I pick out 10? Because the pictures, to me, the pictures are one thing, but the emotional connection you see, this person's cool. This person's, she's kind of cute. You got all that. And then you got like Roscoe's, he's a cool mechanic, so you got that local thing. And so now I've got it down to about 60 pictures that I got to narrow down to 10. Oof. So then we're going to mat them, and then the school's going to provide the frames, but then the school keeps the frames.
Sure.
So how I'm trying to think through this is how I'm trying to process, Harry. Once the picture's on display, and I get it back and it's matted, I want to give it to the people that are in the picture.
Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
So then I'm thinking, okay, so now the part of the filtering process is who is still in town.
Yes.
Because some of the people have already left town.
Sure.
Or can I track that person down? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. So then Carla, the art professor, she teaches there. She's looked at, I said, here, help me look at some of these. Well, some of them are too close. You can't tell by the context of what they're doing. It's a nice picture. Yeah. They're smiling great, all that, but I don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I got somewhere I didn't zoom in. So like, I don't know if you remember Tim at Legacy Bicycles.
Yes.
I got some of him working on a bike.
Yeah.
But the ones I liked were the real close-up one. Well, she said, I can't tell what he's doing.
Sure.
That's all right. I got 20 more
yeah.
that I didn't get in. So to me, I think that's fun. I used to put a lot on the Sebring Facebook page, but I'm getting where I don't like public pages too much because you get weird stuff that happens on the backside.
Yep.
You get weird.
Yeah, the comments
or people you don't know that wants to be all of a sudden now your friend.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they're from, Timbuktu.
Sure.
I don't want to be no friends with. So I try to be careful on that, but I realized that it's fun sharing these people because sometimes you can look at it as, that's a cool picture, but others, hopefully what you're doing when I do that is, I like that person, or I like that restaurant.
Sure.
I've never tried Nutmegs. I need
right.
to go there, or Legacy Bikes. I didn't. Yep. So that's the fun. And I tried to only zoom in, which is unfortunate for some, but I try to only do locally owned.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cody's is nice, and them are nice. Them places on 27 are nice, but it's not the same as going to a locally owned restaurant or locally owned business. I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on.
This episode of the Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting. 863-385-5020.
What are you working on?
I'm working on too much stuff.
Okay.
I've got too many irons in the fire. But that's just it's what I do.
Okay.
I'm busy all the time, but I like it that way.
Okay.
I like it that way.
I think if we'd have grew up at a different age, we would have been tagged as ADHD or something.
100%. Yeah. I think a lot of what gets tagged as ADHD or spectrum type things,
right,
could have easily been explained a different way 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just a way of looking at things differently, I suppose.
Some of us don't slow down.
Some of us don't. Some of us aren't wired that way.
No. And it's funny that you come across some that are busy as heck.
That's right.
And they just keep getting busy.
That's right.
You know, and it's funny, you know, because I'm in my dating phase, you know. So I'll meet some that are busier than heck. And I'm like, you ain't got time for me. And then they say the same thing to me. Well, you ain't got time. Well, I can make time.
Yes.
But so can you give us a little taste of what you're working on? Anything?
Well, no, I mean, I'm working with the band.
Okay.
We're coming up on our 40th anniversary. We're in our 40th anniversary right now.
40 years. Oh my gosh.
October 25th was October 25th, 1984 was the first time we ever played together. So we're in our 40th year. January 18th, we're having our 40th anniversary concert.
Where
at the Genesis Center in Lake Placid.
Oh.
And we have a group called Chops Horns coming from New Jersey to play with us all night.
Okay.
2 saxophones and a trumpet, and they're world class. They've played with Paul McCartney, they've played with Bob Dylan, they've played with the Rolling Stones.
They're not a warm up. They're going to join.
They're with us.
Wow.
So we've picked.
Look at you.
We've picked all songs that have horn sections in them.
Well, of course you would.
So it's gonna be. I'm not gonna give anything away.
Okay.
But it's gonna be cool.
When is this?
January 18th.
Okay, that's coming up then.
Coming up.
That's coming up. Okay, gosh, I'm glad I'm going to be in town because I'm going to be gone at the end of the month.
It's going to be fun.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow. So when's the tickets available?
It's going to sell out.
Yes, it is. That's what I need to know now.
There's probably I'm thinking there's maybe a little bit fewer than 100 tickets left.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't want this to become a commercial for the band, but it's sunevents.com.
Well, we're just chatting.
Yeah.
You know, we're just.
But yeah, the band is still doing. You know, it was a huge loss with Rodney passing away last year.
Gosh, yes.
That was a huge blow, and he had been sick for a while, and so his involvement had started to kind of wane a little bit, and we knew that he wasn't going to be able to play with the band anymore, and that just took the wind out of our sails. And that had been coming for a while.
All the people of that band are important.
Well, and Rodney and I were the ones that founded the band.
No way.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, in high school. I was a senior and he was the guidance counselor.
No way.
So we had been together all those years. So when his health started to decline, it really it was real sad and real hard to deal with all that.
So this guy was your guidance counselor in high school.
Yeah.
Wow, what a guidance counselor
What
he
a
became.
guidance counselor. Yeah, it was me and Jay Grubb. He was a student. He played drums. Richie Shepard was a bass player. He was a student.
Okay.
And Mike McElfresh was a singer, and he was a student. And then Rodney was the guidance counselor, and Roger Newbern was the band director. So we formed it in 1984 as a one-off, and 40 years later, we're still playing.
Okay, the band director, was that he actually a band director?
He was the band director for Sebring High Marching Band.
No way.
Yeah.
So your band was already stacked right at the beginning.
It was stacked. Yeah, Rodney.
Goodness, look at you.
With his perfect pitch, and he can play guitar, bass, piano, saxophone, trumpet. He played everything. And Roger was a great sax player.
Wow.
And they both had great voices, and we had good harmonies, and right off the bat. So
bless their heart for working with you guys at your young age, because you had to be little idiots at parts of time.
We were dummies. I was a dummy. You know, I was 17 years old.
Well, all of us are dummies at 18.
Well, yeah. But that mentality of helping the younger people has bled through.
Paying it forward.
Yes. Wow. And so Jordan, who plays keyboard, he started in California Toe Jam when he was 15.
Wow.
Our current drummer right now is 13.
He's 13 years old.
13, yeah. So we're still looking for ways to.
It's like a mentoring program, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. The band's always been sort of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say is kudos to you guys for being so inclusive, because you could easily say no. You can only be, experienced players. You got to let me see your resume.
Well, how do you get experienced without playing?
That's exactly right. But some mindsets are out there. I mean, even employment. I mean, I work for corporate America.
Sure.
Hey, let's hire the guy with the most experience.
Right.
Well, he may not be the best person.
That's right.
I mean, especially sometimes younger people, their enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's right.
And their single focus.
Yes.
When they get to our, I'm almost back to the single focus. When you're in that family unit thing and you're trying to make an income and you're raising kids and you're doing all these other things, you're paying rent, you're You can't. Whereas if you're a 13-year-old and you got a 2 weeks winter vacation,
Yes.
man, you can drill.
That's right.
You can hone your craft.
Absolutely.
And if you got like guys like you mentoring them and saying, hey, or at least giving them focus, okay, these are the 10 songs we want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Then they'll learn them songs.
Oh, they did. And Sawyer, Sawyer was 12 when he officially joined us. We gave him a
Well,
list of like 100 songs and said, here you go. And it was baptism by fire. We had one rehearsal before he jumped in as the full-time drummer. So, yeah, he worked hard. But he's also very gifted. So there's that.
It reminds me of the story of Tedeschi.
Yeah.
Derek Trucks.
Yes.
Derek Trucks. What was he, like 13 and
Yes.
playing with Allman Brothers?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God. Now look at Tedeschi Trucks.
What
right
a
now.
band.
That's my favorite band of all.
Incredible.
But you put Susan Tedeschi with anybody.
Anybody, second to none.
And then he comes along. It's like, holy.
That's
So that reminds you. So you guys are doing the same kind of.
on a smaller level. Hey, have you seen the Bob Dylan movie?
Not yet.
Oh,
Is it great?
wow.
Okay. So is it at the theaters or how did you
It's
see
at the
it?
theaters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
A
Dylan.
complete unknown.
Now, have you ever heard of that one guy? I always get his name wrong, but he sometimes plays at Monserc. He was busking with Bob Dylan.
Tom Brashears.
Thank you. Yes, that guy.
Tom's a good guy.
That guy's got some stories.
He's got some stories and he's got some songs. He's a great songwriter. He did some recording here at Musicland.
Okay.
And some of his songs just blow me away.
He in his readings too.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
and his stories. He tells a story about knowing Bob Dylan and sitting out on the steps with him one night in London after just hanging out at a party, and the intimacy that they had in a moment. And he said that Bob Dylan wouldn't recognize him from Adam anymore because it was just one of those things that happens, this cosmic thing that can never be recreated.
But that's life.
That's life.
I mean, we always come across these people. Sometimes it's just in the grocery store, or it's in the lobby of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing somebody in a wheelchair, and they've got the coolest little story.
Everybody's got a story, don't they, Ted?
Yes.
Everybody.
So I'll tell you a cool little story. I was volunteering for the Lions Club in Newcastle, Indiana, and their fundraiser was to sell Christmas trees. And they had this little bitty trailer. I mean, it was maybe like a 15-foot long trailer. I thought of it as like a Flintstones trailer, just a little bit. It didn't have a restroom in it. Just had a little stove and had a little table that probably folded down to make an extra bed.
Yep.
And it just had a little couple things. Well, we used that to keep warm in because it's Indiana.
Sure.
We're selling Christmas trees.
Yes.
So I go to volunteer for this night. It was somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And it was a real snowy, crappy, just one of those, you didn't want to be out in it.
Yeah.
Kinda. It wasn't a beautiful snow. It was a sleeting kind of windshield wipers on the full time. And you're just like, So I'd signed up to sell Christmas trees. And this old guy shows up and he's going to be on the shift with me.
Okay.
And he's carrying a bottle of champagne. And I'm like, okay, old guy, come. And it was one of those crappy nights where we wasn't busy.
Yeah.
So we're sitting in that trailer. And he pulls that champagne out. He pops open. He gets little Dixie cups and pours some. And he wants some. I said, sure. What's your story? He said, well, I went into World War II. I think he was drafted or what. I forget how. I don't remember exactly how he phrased that piece. But he had went into basic training, went into the school afterwards, and went into Germany 2 weeks. He'd been in Germany 2 weeks, and it was during the Battle of the Bulge.
Mm-hmm.
He says they were in this unit. I forget what kind of unit they were in. And there was a dumb lieutenant, that's what he said. And all lieutenants are dumb. I was a master sergeant in the Army Reserve, so I can say all lieutenants are dumb. They're going to start somewhere. So he said we'd half captured this town, and the lieutenant had parked the vehicles bumper to bumper. He said, they shouldn't have, he shouldn't have, that's where the dumb part came in. And overnight, so him and another troop had to do a 2-man tent. So because there are all these little tents, and he said it's during the Battle of the Bulge, the snow is waist deep. So they make a place to get a tent. they get attacked in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
And him and his buddy take off. He said, "We got our jackets on, we got our canteen, we got boots, and that's it. We're gone and a rifle. We're in the woods now, and we're hiding out in the woods." And he said, "Next thing you know, we're hungry. We each got a candy bar, and we had water in our canteen." He said, "After that, we had no food, we had no water, so we had to break the butts off of our rifles, and use that as wood to burn." And they had snow in their helmets to melt the snow so they could drink water. He said after that, it was like another couple days, we had to give up. So we turned ourselves in and became prisoners of war. He said the first night he got his army boots stolen. And so that's his story. That's why he's drinking champagne, selling Christmas trees.
Moly.
You're thinking, okay,
yeah,
you deserve this.
Absolutely.
Let's have another drink.
Ain't that something?
So people have got all these cool stories,
Yeah.
and I think this town's full of people of these stories.
It is chock full of them.
And this is why at first when I moved here, I thought, this is a little odd. Maybe I could meet more people if I was on the coast. But I believe when you're in these bigger areas, you meet less people. There's more people per square foot,
Right.
but you meet less because everybody starts putting their blinders
That's correct.
on. We're in these nice little town like Sebring. Everybody's friendly. Hey, even some of them, they, like Monserc, they give you take your order and write down your name.
Yes.
They don't charge you in the beginning.
Yeah.
Until you go to check out, and then they know their name.
That's right.
Okay. Hey, Ted. Hey, Harry.
Yes.
And even like, was it Thankfully Yours? And I may get this wrong. The tea shop in Avon Park. When you come in, hi, friend.
Oh, yeah.
They call everybody friend.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
That's hometown.
This is what I like about this area. And it's funny, you had it your whole life.
Your whole life.
That's why you haven't left.
Yep. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
You feel warm. You feel welcome here. You feel loved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good place.
Yes.
Sebring is a good
Yes.
place. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Tell me what's some of your funnest times up on stage?
They're all fun. And I'm not just saying that, but they are, because my job is not to sing. My job is not to play the guitar or entertain. My job is to help people forget their troubles for a little bit.
And you do a
And
great
that
job at it.
and all the music is the tool.
Okay.
It's the modus operandi. But the idea is not to play and sing and entertain. The idea is to let people escape
Okay.
for a little bit. That's all I do.
Any surprising moments that you've been up here and
Oh,
something that's
yeah,
happened and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun.
Yeah,
Like I said, when the
there's
clogger came up,
stuff
when I was
like
doing
that happens almost all the time.
Really?
Even if it's especially like playing on the circle.
Okay.
When the band's playing, you'll have sometimes
unexpected?
some unexpected guest dancers that may or may not have been having, a few drinks.
Okay.
And there's always characters.
Okay.
There's always characters in the audience, and there's always people that are wanting to be part of the show and don't exactly know how to do it. And sometimes it goes well for them, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a privilege for me to be able to do what I do.
And you do it well, man.
Well,
you
thank
do it
you.
well.
Thank you.
What do you like best about Sebring? And that's not to say that all these others you don't like. I'm just kind of curious. What do you eat up? What's your favorite restaurants? Tell me that.
Well, there's so many,
that would be bad too,
and right now,
one or two.
we mentioned the golden age of Sebring,
Right.
and how right now it's popping with entertainment. It's also popping with great restaurants.
Yes.
There's some really fine establishments out
Can't
there.
wait for the Irish pub to open
Oh,
up.
I know.
Come
Yeah,
on,
that's
Bob and
that is
Tiffany,
their-
get it together.
Well, it's not for their lack of trying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding with them.
bureaucracy is a tough thing, and everyone has their job to do. But my goodness, yeah, I can't wait for that one. That's going to be great. One of my favorite thing about Sebring, and it's because I'm a nostalgic person, but I love the nostalgia of it, because everywhere I look, there's memories. Now, this is also double-edged, because my memories are being ripped away. The Santa Rosa was one of the finest places to eat in town. It was
Was it?
it was an
Okay.
incredible restaurant, high-scale restaurant. It was beautiful, and I'm so happy to see Harder Hall coming back to life.
Yes.
But Kenilworth was touch and go for a while there. Looks like Kenilworth has a new lease on life.
Yes.
But so many of the buildings that were here when I was a kid are gone now.
Okay.
And Sebring is changing. Some ways for the better, some ways maybe not as much, but growth is going to happen.
Right.
It just is. So you have to manage
And
it.
old buildings sometimes just can't stand up
Sometimes
anymore.
they can't.
Yeah, they weren't made to last forever.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the nostalgia of it. I love the memories.
Okay. I like the downtown portion. I'm not a fan of 27.
27 is not, it's Sebring, but downtown is Sebring.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
It's like a bypass.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I remember the town that Newcastle, had the same thing. They had a downtown portion, and then because the main road from connecting you from Muncie, Indiana to, say, Rushville, Indiana, went right through the downtown, they built a bypass.
Yes.
And all the businesses moved to the bypass.
That's
The
right.
downtown went vacant
Yep.
and dilapidated for a long time, and now they're slowly trying to push
Yeah.
it back to life.
Yep.
And I think that's what 27 probably did to the downtown portion
It
as well.
did to an extent. It did, and they put the eucalyptus bypass, the Sebring Parkway.
Okay.
They put that in. That I think that helps. But what I love about it is my kids went to the same schools that I went to.
How cool is that?
You know, and my wife was a teacher at Fred Wild Elementary, which is my alma mater from when I was an
No way.
elementary school
No way.
kid. Yeah, so all three of our kids went there.
Your roots are really, really
They're deep.
here.
They're very deep. All three of our kids went to Sebring Middle School. I walked them to school every day in the middle school, and it wasn't because they couldn't go by themselves. It's just because it was a special time.
Because you would, yeah.
My wife was a teacher, and so I had the privilege of being able to walk them to school every day. It was wonderful. They went to Sebring High. That's my school. It's
Now, did they have some of the same teachers that you had?
yeah.
And they had to warn them.
Yeah.
Now, I know your dad,
Yeah.
so you.
They did. They did have some crossover there,
Okay.
and to me that was wonderful too. Because I was a handful in high school, so I had a very, very deep sense of pride.
Okay.
Sending our children to Sebring High School, knowing that I was
Yeah.
a bit of trouble, and how good our kids were.
Well,
It made me happy to let my teachers know in a roundabout way that I did all right, and they're part of it, and now they can see the results in our children. That was a beautiful thing for me.
so then when you go perform at Fred Wild, it has a different level of meaning for
So
you, too, does it?
here's what's crazy.
Okay.
When I'm performing at the elementary schools,
Right.
there are teachers there now who were students when I was doing them. When I was doing the elementary school shows 30 years ago, those little children that were in the audience are now teachers.
How cool is
They're
that?
now parents. There's parents that come up to me and say, "You're the Roach guy. You're the guy that sang at the schools." This is the first year
Roach
that
guy. What does that mean?
Oh, that's another whole thing.
Okay.
This is the first year that my kid will be old enough to see one of your Christmas shows. So there's a whole generation has gone.
That's what makes community. I mean, us outsiders, and I mean by outsider, I mean, I'm kind of working my way in, but we don't have the depth and breadth. We don't have that, we didn't grow up here. We didn't,
Sure.
And then some of them don't even care.
Right.
Some of them don't get past Cody's and Market 27.
Right. Literally, some of them
really
don't. Yeah.
But to me, I think it's cool. Now I heard that might be a double-edged sword when the HGTV things come out, because people may want to flock to this.
They're going to.
And that's okay
Yeah.
if it's, as long as we can vet them and say, yes, you're a good one, Sam. How do you do? But I think that's great because, yeah, them roots run deep.
They do.
And that's what makes that continuity of that community stay a certain way. Now, granted, it has some we never did that like that
Sure.
before. So that maybe stops some growth, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You still like them traditions. Like here's some of the most wonderful the Christmas parade. Oh my God.
Wonderful.
The Halloween thing.
Wonderful.
You couldn't count all those people.
Oh, there's thousands. There's like between 8,000 and 10,000 people that show up to that.
That is just so cool to me. And then the boat parade
Yes,
in the lake.
absolutely.
There's some gems here that I think after a while some of these people probably even take for granted, or
100%.
But they're just you don't get that. You don't get that in other bigger cities.
That's right.
You don't.
Carousel of lights. what John Spiegel has been doing for 37 years on the circle.
That is cool as heck.
It's incredible.
I didn't know it had a name, but okay, I know exactly what you're talking.
Yep.
And then the people that show up there, I remember, what was it, last year or the year before, they had fake snow machines.
Yes.
And a little ice skating rink.
Yes.
You're like, this is cool,
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, when I first came here, I thought, wow, this isn't Christmas. You guys don't have snow here. What do you mean? But now that I've been here for a while, I don't really like snow all that much. I don't like it on the roads at all.
I'm sorry to hear you say that, because Sebring is getting snow this year.
Uh-oh, what's happening?
I can't say. I just know it.
Okay.
So the last time it snowed, I was in 4th grade. It was 1977 was the last time it snowed in Sebring, Florida.
It's funny. Everybody knows that date. Everybody
That's
just
right. That's right. It was
like things by hurricanes too, by hurricane names.
That's right. It was just a dusting. It was just enough. But we got to school, and the power grid was struggling, so they said, we're shutting down the school. So we got a school day, 1977. And something in my gut has been telling me now, and I first called this at the YMCA. I did me and Susan Patterson did a Christmas show.
Okay.
This was December 1st or 2nd. It was right around there, but I called it publicly there. It's going to snow in Sebring this year.
Okay. Do we got a date?
Nope.
Okay. But sometime in January.
No. It's sometime this winter.
Okay.
Sometime this winter. We're going to have at least a dusting of snow this winter.
When I went to, because I was in Indianapolis, in 1978, I was a senior in high school. We had the blizzard.
Yeah.
They shut school down for 2 weeks. They never closed school up until it. Now they close it if it's going to. They think it's going to snow. But it was funny, there was no snow.
Oh yeah, that's the real stuff.
Yeah. But it's okay, because now that I've been down here a long time, I appreciate being down here. I go up and visit my kids and see my little grandbaby. Last time I went up there, the time before I went up there, I got snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
Got flights canceled, all that stuff.
That's right.
That don't happen down here.
No, it doesn't.
Got that little thing that starts with an H or something. Them guys. All there.
This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. It's funny, though, because you talk about the seasons, and Sebring has very defined seasons if you've lived here your whole life. So, for instance, I know when it's about to be fall, not because of the crisp air, because it's still hot as hell.
Yeah.
But I start to hear the band practicing at Fireman's Field and getting ready for marching band season.
Oh my gosh!
So
okay.
when I hear those drums and I hear the band start to rehearse, I know that fall's coming.
Okay.
School's about to start, and we're heading into fall. When I start to hear the crack of the bat at Fireman's Field, I know spring is coming.
You can hear that from here?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely,
so
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
You can't hear it at Tanglewood.
No, you can't.
The motorcycles up and down 27 that are blocking it.
No, living in downtown has been magic my whole life.
So well, of course, the sound guy would know the changing of the seasons by the sounds he hears.
Absolutely.
Mr. Music Man.
Oh, and the train.
Okay.
The train literally rattles our house. It rattles our windows.
Okay.
And we're over on Oak. It's and
I've yet to ride the train, but I want to. I want to take it down to Miami.
Yep.
And spend like a weekend in Miami and come back. I want to see the museums down there.
Do you know about the Sugar Express?
Nope. No.
Oh, see now the Sugar Express.
Wait a minute, is that out of the Avon? No, it's Lake
Fireman's Field.
What?
They come up and they park at Fireman's Field.
Okay.
One end is a vintage steam engine.
Is that at the Caladium Festival?
They go back and forth.
Okay.
And
And I've seen them over there.
Yes. So some routes take them down to Chiles, to a sugar processing place.
Okay.
Some go all the way down to
Hence
Clewiston.
the Sugar Express.
Yes.
Okay.
It's owned by Florida Sugar or U.S. Sugar.
Really?
Yeah, and they take
I forgot about
tours.
the sugar market.
It's fantastic.
I forgot about the sugar market.
You check that out. It's wonderful.
That would be cool.
It's wonderful.
But you wouldn't go do something for the weekend. You would just.
No, you could go down to like at Clewiston. They have
Take a ride.
festivals,
Okay.
so they'll dump you off.
Okay.
And you can spend a few hours in Clewiston at the festivals, and then you hop back on and comes right back.
How fun is that?
It's very cool.
That'd be cool. Okay. I love this thing.
Come on in.
Hey, another musician.
TJ Ted.
TJ, I've seen you before. Right? He's in your band, right?
Yes, he is. He's the bass player.
I thought so. I recognize him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your grandson was the drummer, right? Yeah. Okay. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. That's the cue that band practice is going to start here pretty soon. We got to wrap this up.
Okay.
Ted Bullens,
Havery.
it's a privilege having you on this podcast. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I appreciate it very much.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk with you. You're such a cool. To me, you're Mr. Sebring.
Hey, look at man, from a Sebring, born and raised.
Yes.
It thrills me to see you at events and to see the enthusiasm that you have for my little hometown. It makes me happy. Please keep doing what you're doing. Take your pictures, talk to people, and keep being that man about town in Sebring because we need you.
Before we sign out, I'm going to do a selfie with us. Because that's what I do, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I think I got us. Okay, on this, the camera's on this side, just so you know. Ready? I got my...
I love it.
Harry, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, people in Sebring. Yeah.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're out.
We're out. The Havery Show has been brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Glory to the